You're listening to MMA Oddsbreaker. I'm Frank Trigg. On the other end of the phone today, we have Nik Lentz getting ready to fight UFC on Fox number 9 against Chad Mendes. Hey, Nick, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing good. Yourself?
Can't complain. No complaints. Bouncing around a little bit. Um, I still get to go do a lot of external stuff. I'm not in training camp, so I can run around and bounce to a different city and hang out. For training camp, for you, are you one of those guys that sticks to a very stiff routine? Every day is the same thing. You get up at a certain time, you go to bed at a certain time, you train at a certain time, or do you have differences throughout every day?
Every day is different, but the weeks are similar. So every day I wake up, I have a very different set of training, working different muscles, working different areas of the game, conditioning, strength, speed, all of that. So every day is completely different than the other one, but the days are the same for the week.
So what's a normal? Let's pick a Thursday. What's a normal Thursday like for you?
Usually on Thursdays I spar in the morning, so pretty intense sparring, probably anywhere from 8 to 10 rounds, and then we go into at night technical pad work, and then switch over to like a grappling type drilling.
Now, have you always sparred in the morning, or is that something new you started doing?
No, I mean, sometimes I spar at night, sometimes I spar in the morning. It just depends on how it works best with training partners and camp and stuff. I'm not a big believer in the whole, spar at the time you'll be fighting kind of thing. I know a lot of people think that's like a big deal, but when it's time to fight, I'll be ready to fight, so I'm not too worried about that. And then also, I don't like sparring too early, but when I say the morning, I mean like 12 o'clock. One of the benefits of being a fighter is I get to kind of choose my own schedule. The morning to me is like 10, like 11 at the earliest.
I've been listening to a lot of boxers lately. I've been talking to Freddie Roach and a couple other trainers, and they say they have their boxers train in the morning because that's when they're freshest. And boxing, sparring is what you're actually going to do in a fight if you're doing a full spar. So you want to be as close as you can to your full rest, your full back to being fully recovered from the day before. And a lot of those guys, they swear by the morning spar sessions, and it doesn't really matter what time the fight is because that fight will be ready. Like you said, you'll be ready at fight time at night. But you spar in the mornings because that's the better time for boxers at least, that they feel that they're fresher. Do you feel that way too when you spar now? That you feel like you're a better sparring partner and a better sparring athlete when you do it in the morning as opposed to in the afternoons or in the evenings?
Well, sparring is the closest thing you get to actually fighting. It's not the same by any means, but it's as close as you get to the real thing. So you want to make sure that my whole week is planned on ramping myself up to being in the best shape, the best prepared for the two sparring days during the week. So that's how my schedule goes. It kind of ramps into with sparring being the hardest, and then it kind of goes down and then back up towards sparring being the hardest again. So I want to be freshest at all times when I'm sparring because it's the closest thing to the real thing you can get.
Do you do workout twice a day, 6 days a week, or are you one time a day, 7 days a week? Do you take a half day in there? Like what's your normal workout schedule like?
I work out 2 or 3 times a day for 2 days, and then I have one day that's like a half day, and then I have the night off, and then I have the morning off on the next one, and then I go into like a 2 or 3 times a day again until Saturday.
Oh wow. Okay, so it's a lot of. Do you know how many hours it is per week that you spend training?
Farther away from the fight, it's more hours, but less intense, and the closer we get to the fight, I would say it's 4 to 6 hours closer to the fight, but a lot more intense, and away from the fight, I would say it's anywhere from 6 to 10.
Okay. All right. So typical schedule. You're pretty much landing into it. The reason why I'm asking is because after your loss to Evan Dunham, and before that you lost to Mark Bocek, you've kind of been on a little bit of a tear. It seemed like that you kind of found whatever was what you needed to change in your training camp. You've kind of changed. Your win over Matasuka, Nunes, and Diaz were pretty impressive. Matasuka is a KO, TKO, in the first round, and then you had some really good, decisive, hard push, grinding battles against Nunes and Diaz, but those two guys were never really in the fight. Did something change after the Evan Dunham loss? Did something change as far as your training camp goes to get you stepping up to a different level?
Yeah, I wasn't performing the way I wanted to, and I knew the Nik Lentz that was showing up for fights wasn't the one that was there in training. So I was coming in weak. I was coming in way overtrained. I always overtrained myself. I wasn't cutting weight right. I didn't have the best coaches and the best people in my ears at all time, and I changed everything. You know, I switched to American Top Team. I now have completely moved to Florida. I got a new nutritionist in my Dolce. I changed weight classes. Like I say it all the time. I was a complete waste of talent at 155 pounds, and now that I'm at 145 pounds, you're seeing what it should have been.
And to be honest with you, I interviewed Chad Mendes, and he actually said the exact same thing. He said that that you were much less dangerous up at 55. Now that you're down at 45, you're a lot more dangerous of an opponent, and that you have kind of come into your own. You've kind of found your spacing. I was going to ask you earlier in the interview how the weather is right now in St. Paul, winter-wise, but you're down in Florida, so you're not getting any snow, and you're definitely getting a lot of good workouts in. Who are your main training partners that you have to spar with and work out with every day at American Top Team?
You know, there's so many guys that train with that Top Team that it's pretty interesting, actually. You know, like guys come out of the woodwork that just happen to spar like the guy that you're going to fight. So I spar with a variety of different people. You know, there's the big names where you got Dustin Poirier, Cole Miller, Mike Brown, Thiago Alves, like all those kind of guys. And then there's a whole bunch of under guys that haven't made their way up yet that are very similar. You know, I've been sparring with them, Andrew. There's a lot of guys that are around Top Team, and that's one of the reasons that makes the team so great is that any time I go to practice, there's 40 professionals that I can choose from.
Do you find it hard sometimes to actually pick your partners for the day, or do you have to let the coaches do it? Because there are so many guys in American Top Team that you could pick and choose from. Do you make the coaches choose who you're going to work out with that day, or do you actually have some say in who you're picking to work out with?
Well, I mean, it's the same thing as always. I'm the CEO of what happens in my training, but I hired the coaches and stuff for a reason. So I listen to them. So whatever they say is usually what I listen to. You know, I have veto power, but 99% of the time I listen to whatever my coaches say.
Perfect. Well, Nick, I really like the way that you've stepped your game up, changed weight classes, changed everything. Like for a lot of guys, when they change like you did, it makes them worse. They fall apart. You actually got better. It's going to be a great fight between you and Chad Mendes. I can't wait to watch this happen on December 14th at UFC on Fox 9. Have fun up in Sacramento. Nick, thanks for coming out here. We'll talk to you soon, bud.
Hey, no problem. Thank you.